I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store for $6, I'm gonna spend $45, then listen to the kids bitch and moan for 2 hours while we walk around. And then, the only thing that I get enjoyment of is the fucking cider donuts. But half the time, they're ice cold. So yeah, I'm so excited for the pumpkin patch.
Well,
So fucking pumped.
we can at least make the best of it, though.
I'm making the best of it. My eyes are awake. I'm driving the car. We're with a family. Yay, family time.
When we say these men don't like it, we are not capping, we are not joking. Most of them are having these children for aesthetic sake. They're having them for society's sake. They are just making you to have them so that they can keep you forever, so that they can put you and trap you down. It's not because they enjoy having children or they want to have fun with their kids, right? How can your wife ask you, are excited? I used to go for pumpkin patch and you busted and you're not excited, you're just going and in front of your child. This is really sad and this doesn't even make sense. This just shows how these men don't really like it and how they are so selfish that they rather do things for themselves than do things for their child, right? For me, I feel like it is not just fathers that might not enjoy going for pumpkin patch. You don't even have to enjoy to do something for the sake of your children. You just do them because it makes your children happy. And how do you think your child is going to feel hearing that you're not even doing this because you're happy? Because you're doing it just for doing sake. And these are the kind of men that will get to the place and they're gonna just sit down and just be pressing their phone and act non-interested. I have interesting reactions to share with you all today. Let's watch the reactions together. But then let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section because some people are like, there's nothing wrong with what he said. It is not bad for him not to enjoy the pumpkin patch. Why some people are like, no, there are things wrong with what he said. Which side are you on? I feel like it shouldn't have said something like that in front of this child. Probably would have said it where the wife was, and they will have laughed about it and be like, "Oh, we don't enjoy it. We're just doing it for the child." But then let me roll some reaction for you all to watch to the end, and I'll share my thoughts at the end of.
Excited at least to go to the pumpkin patch?
Am I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store for $6, I'm gonna spend $45, then listen to the kids bitch and moan for 2 hours while we walk around. And then, the only thing that I get enjoyment of is the fucking cider donuts. But half the time, they're ice cold. So yeah, I'm so excited for the pumpkin patch.
Well,
So fucking pumped.
we can at least make the best of it, though.
I'm making the best of it. My eyes are awake. I'm driving the car. We're with a family. Yay, family time.
Listen, bud, no parent is excited about having to spend $22 on a pumpkin that we could grow in the backyard with a 17-cent seed. But let me ask you a question. Dad, did you go buy the $6 pumpkin at the grocery store, grab a pumpkin carving kit, and surprise your family with everything you needed to make low-cost jack-o'-lanterns at home? Did you take any steps to grow your own? Because I'm sure your wife probably asks you to do this every year. So did you grab some seeds and start growing a pumpkin patch in anticipation of it? I bet your kids would love to have a pumpkin patch in their very own backyard. Maybe you could even have a neighborhood pumpkin patch where everyone could come get a cheap pumpkin since you're so cost-effective and eco-conscious. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you probably didn't do any of those things. So it sounds like you didn't attempt a cheaper option, but you're still complaining about doing the activity anyways. So you're really upset about the price, or are you upset about having to go pumpkin picking with your family and knew that the price was the only reasonable thing you could complain about without sounding like a jerk? And I blurred out the kids because I didn't think it was right to show their faces, but they're sitting directly behind Dad in that video and listening to every single angry word he says. And your wife said, well, we can at least make the best of it, as if she's tried to salvage plenty of miserable moments that should have been happy ones. And I can almost guarantee that she's not excited to listen to you be miserable again, but she's not going to voice her dissatisfaction because she's trying to keep it about the kids. But have you ever considered how she feels? because mom's the one who planned the day and got everyone ready, and you can't even bring yourself to smile on the ride. You know that you're not just paying $45 for a pumpkin, you're paying to ride the hayride, walk the corn maze, and pet the animals. And you're also attending someone else's business. You're paying for the experience, the novelty, and the pictures that will turn into memories. But it's not going to be much of an experience if the kids are more concerned about managing dad's emotions than they are about enjoying their day with mom and dad. And you mentioned that you're going to have to listen to your kids complain for 2 hours, but have you ever considered that they may just be mirroring your attitude since you're sitting there complaining about having to listen to your kids complain right in front of them? It really doesn't matter if you're excited to go to the pumpkin patch because you're not going there for you. You're going there for the kids. And if going somewhere to make your kids happy isn't enough to make you happy, then you could at least pretend that it isn't making you miserable. They're children. They don't understand that money's tight and the pumpkins are overpriced, so you can't expect them to praise you for buying them. But this is the problem with men who don't enjoy spending time with their family. They feel like they've made some kind of sacrifice by giving up their time, so they don't understand why they're not being celebrated for it. Our kids don't remember the money we spent, but they do remember the experiences we gave them. Your kids are always going to remember that mom always tried to make it special, but dad always seemed to make it stressful. You may want to think about that, because I'm sure you'd rather your kids remember their pumpkins that they didn't know the cost of than remember how miserable dad always was when it came time to pick them.
Have you seen that video of the pumpkin patch, Dad?
Am I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store.
Dave is a product of his environment, a culture in which men are not expected to contribute to the emotional labor that goes into traditions, family outings. I'm actually eating pumpkin pie I made with my son yesterday from pumpkins that my husband picked, because he's not a little baby. And I love him for many reasons. One of them being he is open to having conversations about the equity in our household. In my experience, moms are often the keepers of the holiday traditions. Fill the stockings, Halloween costumes. Dads who subscribe to idealized masculinity, they tend to resent activities that don't align with their masculine identities. The pumpkin patch is unmasculine, and that kind of seasonal non-essential stuff that makes life really fun, especially when you have kids. I feel the worst for the kids who are in the backseat because they're getting a lot of messages about dad doesn't want to spend time with us and he thinks this is beneath him. He could not have been more clear about how little he values family time and his wife's effort. He literally says it's too expensive. But let's be real. What happened if moms just stopped doing the emotional labor? Everybody would have a lot less fun. I hope for Janie and everybody that we have more equitable division of labor, acknowledgement of effort, at the least empathy, the bare minimum for all of that effort that goes into stuff like family trips to the pumpkin patch or making pie. And I hope that we can do a better job valuing and recognizing that emotional labor.
Am I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store for $6, I'm going to spend $45, then listen to the kids bitch and moan for 2 hours while we walk around.
I think more and more of us are realizing some men want the aesthetic of a family and kids, but they don't actually want to be married and have children. Can you imagine being a kid? You're so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. You're so excited to spend some time with your dad, and this is what he's saying in the front seat. And I believe at least one of their kids was in the back seat while they made this video. And there's a couple comments like, this is every dad. No, this is not every dad. I grew up with a father who loved to spend time with his family. And I was just with my brother who also loves to spend time with his kids. He very excitedly took all 3 of his young children to the pumpkin patch, him and his wife, both excited. Got the pumpkins, got all the fun fall food, all the apple cider, all the donuts, etc. Took a bunch of pictures and made happy memories with his family. I really think more men should consider not getting married, and I don't mean that as some sort of slight, but I feel like some of them don't know there is an option where you don't get married and you get to stay home, you do whatever you want, you play your video games or whatever else it is that you are really interested in doing if you are not interested in being a good husband and raising your children. If you would much rather just drink with the boys, just watch your sports games and not be bothered, then just do that and don't get married. And women, before you get married and have children with somebody, really make sure he wants to be a father. He wants the responsibility of being a father. Because I know there are many fathers out there, and please sound off in the comments. I want people to see how many fathers actually do love their children and love spending time with their children and are concerned with creating the best memories for their children. I understand their video is probably just a bit for views and he does a lot of things for the kids otherwise, although saying all of that stuff with the kids in the backseat, I think is problematic. But I'm using it mostly to make a general point that if you feel like you don't want the responsibility of actually raising children, then just don't get married and have kids. And as a woman, make sure you find the right partner to raise your children, that's all.
I'm so excited to go to Pumpkin Patch. To spend 700% for a
Today's Mindful Monday, we're going to talk about the pumpkin patch, Dad. We want to look at the impact that this blow up that he had on his wife. Does she feel safe in the relationship emotionally? Does she want to actually spend time planning and creating family togetherness time and including him when this is the way he reacts? Is there some satisfaction in their relationship, living together and feeling like she needs to be the one to always have things planned, and if she doesn't plan what he wants, if it's going to be okay with him? What about the impact that he has on his children? Do they feel safe with him? Do they know that every time they're going on a family fun trip, this is how Dad's going to act? What about the impact of their future partners? Look at how fathers really typically are the models for their sons to know how to treat their partners, and for their daughters to know what partners should be like, and that's what they will gravitate towards when they get bigger. Should the relationship with his kids and his wife, should it look like this? Is he showing them that doing togetherness, even if it's more costly, is actually something that the kids will remember more than if they just go and buy it from the store? Should their husband be saying these kinds of things in front of the children, setting these children up for failure as feeling safe within their family structure and for their future happiness? For the memories that they're creating, will they be tainted and always looked at as, wow, Dad really, really struggled with even being with us, and maybe that's because he doesn't like us? So when we're looking at having fun, and sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to create memories for our children, to create the ability for them to see that family togetherness is important and that we make the fun together. Maybe it's not so much the activity itself, but it is the actions of being together and setting our children up for success and learning what they should value in their partner, learning what they should value in their father, and looking out for their mother, because you've also got to look at the fact that they might feel like they need to protect their mom and not want to go to these activities anymore. And they may say that they are too big or make other excuses because it becomes unbearable for them to be active in participating in this when Dad acts the way he acted. And it begs to have a look at if maybe, just maybe, it might be better for the family to exclude Dad and enjoy the activities together. But again, we then have to look at long-term ramifications where the children are building memories with Mom and having fun, but when they grow up, they don't remember Dad even being a part of it. Some interesting thoughts to think of. When we're mindful and we stay present in the moment, we can enjoy anything. We can have a good time. We can actually make the best of a bad situation when we're being mindful and when we're practicing being in a relationship that's loving, safe, and fun. Hope this was helpful. Hopefully you will look at your situations and maybe make some changes as needed. I'm Shelley Webb, your Pathway to Empowerment coach, and this is our Mindful Monday moment.
Watch this video and then we'll come back and talk about it.
You excited at least to go to the pumpkin patch?
Am I excited to go to the pumpkin patch? Oh, Jane, I'm so excited to go to the pumpkin patch. To spend 700% for a fucking pumpkin that I could buy at the grocery store for $6, I'm gonna spend $45, then listen to the kids bitch and moan for 2 hours while we walk around. And then, the only thing that I get enjoyment of is the fucking cider donuts. But half the time, they're ice cold. So yeah, I'm so excited for the pumpkin patch.
This video is not going to be dressing her because, as to be expected, we know the script. You make a video showing your husband or your boyfriend doing the worst, most disrespectful stuff. And then a couple of videos later or the next day, you tell everybody, everything's fine. He's actually great. Everything's fine. So, you know, this is a canon event. We cannot interfere. But for those of you who want to learn, or maybe you're in this situation and you want to change things, it's really unfortunate to be a woman sometimes because it can be so dangerous. Not only is it dangerous to have children, especially if you are a black woman, but it is dangerously, statistically, to be in a relationship with a man. You can play dumb if you want to, but just look at the news. All these stories of men slowly drugging their wives over time to try to get rid of them permanently, or the guy who drugged his wife to have men come in and pay him so that they can assault her. We got to make sure we brace ourselves when we leave the house and have the pepper sprays and the this and the that, and text people phone license plates if we go on dates, and addresses and locations. And if we're not living in that extreme constantly, it's when we finally do get into a relationship, very rarely do we get into a relationship with someone who actually is happy to be there. That's the exception to the rule. But most times women have to choose between one of two options. The guy who makes it blatantly obvious that he literally cannot stand being around his kids. He cannot stand being around you. He doesn't like spending money to spend time with you guys. It's irritating when you take family photos. He bitches and complains the whole time. When you do a family excursion, he bitches and complains the whole time and is constantly having to sit down and disappearing, and you got to look where he's at, and he's fussing and complaining, and you got the kids hanging off of you. You're the one who woke up to get everybody ready, and you made the itinerary, and he just ruins it. Then there's the middle extreme that I forgot to mention, the dad that literally didn't do anything either, but he's just there. And you're directing, take a picture with the kids, stand over here, babe, go over there. And he's just there. He is just literally there. You could have bought a mannequin along with you for the level of participation of this man. Now, the other extreme is the guy that just doesn't show up at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, he comes home to the same house. However, he spends hours and hours and hours on end in his office. He comes home grumpy and standoffish. And you keep the kids away. Let's leave daddy alone. He's had a rough day. And you never get to have a rough day, but that's a whole nother video. But he spends hours on end in his office, man cave, strumming his guitar, pretending like he's Ed Sheeran until the wee hours of the night. He buries himself in his work. He spends half a day at the golf course or on the basketball court, or he's adopted some extreme sport that causes him to be away from the house for hours and hours on end. And he does everything and is devoted to everything except for you and your children, and you find yourself begging for him to spend time with you guys. So unless you're one of the lucky few women who gets that amazing man who is loving and caring and just is happy to be there in any way possible, you have the option of choosing the guy who makes it clear he hates being there, the guy who's there but may as well not be, or the guy who's there but gone all the time. And I'm sure I've already gotten the comments by now from the women who are like, this is why I've just learned to do things by myself. And that's just another way of saying, you know what, I've learned to get used to it and I've decided to settle and accept it. Here's the truth. There's no way that we should be in relationships with men who don't want to be in relationships with us. And there's no reason why we should be accommodating for them to continue on in that behavior. Now, I can understand if you have learned to do things by yourself, and as you're doing those things by yourself, you are planning your exit. I understand that, but there are several women who this is their entire life. I have a family member now, was married for 50 years, and for 50 years, she did things without her husband. And it was so sad. And she used to brag about it. And the only thing I could think of was, wow, you sleep next to this person, y'all share a house together and kids together, and he never wants to spend time with you. I did not envy her, but this is the brainwashing that so many women have succumbed to, unfortunately, due to patriarchy. If we're not begging them to be around us, we're forcing ourselves to live as if they don't exist, but still giving them the privilege of being our boyfriends and husbands and cooking for them and cleaning for them and being intimate with them and having kids with them. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the video, for a lot of women, it's a canon event. They have to learn. One day, maybe, they might wake up, and some might end up like my relative who stayed with her man until he passed away. And she accommodated for his BS. And that's unfortunate. 50 years of her life that she will never get back. But I do think it's unfortunate that we've been in a situation to where at least if we are married or in a relationship, that's better than nothing. And a lot of us are getting nothing. I think it's my age and what I've been through, but wise people don't have to go through what I've gone through to learn. So do with that what you will. But everybody's going to have a bad day every now and then. Well, you might get short with someone, you come back and apologize, and you change the behavior. That is not your consistent way of being, okay? But if you got one time to show me you don't enjoy being around me, and you don't have to worry about me anymore. And this is why it hurts my heart to see so many women rushing to move in with these men and rushing to marry them. Because what you guys don't seem to understand is that once you do that, it's so much harder for you to end those relationships because of all you've invested into them, and you don't want people to judge you and all that stuff, and you don't want to live on your own because maybe you can't afford to now because you're used to having his little 2 cents coming in every month, or maybe you don't have any money because you've been financially dependent on them. When women tell me that they're happily married, I always imagine an asterisk by that word happy, because of what a lot of women are defining as happy is simply the fact that they are married. Because once you get to know them and you hear the stories of the things that they're going through, when you look beyond the happy pictures that they're posting, you begin to realize they're not happy. They just settled. They just compromised who they are and what they want. And that happiness simply means married. By any means necessary. At least I am married. So I always take it with a grain of salt. I really hope that they are happy, but statistically I know that that's probably not actually true. Are you really happily married, or are you simply married? Like most women are, unfortunately. Are you really happily in a relationship, or is it the fact that you're just in one?
Let me tell y'all something. My wife knows that I don't want to go to the pumpkin patch. She has knowledge of this. So she knows not to ask me if I want to go to the pumpkin patch. And here's the thing. No dad wants to go to the pumpkin patch because all we see is money being spent for no reason. And here's the thing. The kids don't even really want to be at the pumpkin patch. Y'all just thinking, oh, the kids are having fun at the pumpkin patch. No, they just enjoy buying everything at the pumpkin patch with my money. The only reason Dad has agreed to go to the pumpkin patch is for those little hot apple donuts that they sell. Do I really care about my son carving his first pumpkin? No, because it cost me $20 for him to do, and he massacred that thing. So y'all need to leave the dads alone about not being happy about going to the pumpkin patch with the family. Okay, y'all at least got us in the car and with our credit card prepared to spend some money that we don't have. My wife knows that I don't want to go to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, your wife knows that you don't want to go to the pumpkin patch. She knows that you think Valentine's Day is just a Hallmark holiday. She knows that she is not your mom, so she can't expect any gifts from you on Mother's Day. She knows that you hate changing diapers. She knows not to interrupt you on Friday nights when you're playing Call of Duty with your friends. She knows that you need to get laid at least once a week so you don't start getting angry. She knows that you're going to use that plate you left in the sink later today. She knows she has to remind you to take out the trash. She knows you have no idea what your kids' shoe sizes are. She knows Sundays are sacred and you cannot be interrupted when you're watching the game. She knows you cannot stand going to your in-laws. She knows she can't trust you to make a plan. She knows that if she gives you a grocery list, she has to add pictures. She knows that you don't know how to wrap presents. She knows if she goes away for the weekend, that all she can expect is for you to keep the children alive. She knows that you have no idea what size diaper your toddler wears. She knows that you were going to do it later. She knows that you hate putting the lights on the Christmas tree. She knows that you will mow the lawn if she reminds you. She knows that you need a list. She knows you won't remember to pick up the milk. She knows to give you a lot of space if your team loses. She knows that when you go golfing on Saturday, that you will come home drunk 5 hours later than you told her. She knows that she cannot expect you to help when she's sick because you think you got it too. She knows to keep the kids quiet if you're taking a nap. She knows that you said you would watch the kids so she could go get a haircut, but Brian next door needs some logs moved right now. She knows you don't know how to cook. She knows you don't know where the ketchup is. She knows she cleans toilets so much better than you do. She knows you don't see the mess. She knows you think she looks fat in those jeans. She knows you thought about getting her flowers that one time. She knows she's the one who has to get up with the baby. She knows you don't know the difference between bleach and detergent. But most of all, my friend, she knows the number for a divorce attorney.
Confession. Pumpkin Patch Dad is not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong in his feelings, and he's not wrong for what he said. Now, I will agree that his audience, horrible. You should not have said that in front of the kids. But, sir, how you feel is validated, and it's validated by me, a mom of 3, the mom who would plan these said events, search out these events, scour the internet for said events, knowing good and damn well she didn't want to fucking do these events. But you do them. You do them for the memories and you do them for the pictures. But I agree, it would have been so much easier and a hell of a lot cheaper, especially as a mom of 3, to just go to the goddamn supermarket and buy the pumpkin. To just go to the supermarket and buy the apples instead of picking it. Because what? But I get it. But let's not be too hard on them.
By now, I know most of you guys have probably seen the Pumpkin Patch Dad video. A lot of people are coming at him for this video. Some people are actually even taking his side on the video. I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion on it. I could sit here and lie and tell you guys what you want to hear, but I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion on the video. First of all, let's just get out of the way that it's obvious that most dads aren't just waking up in the morning like, oh my God, I cannot wait to go to the pumpkin patch. I cannot wait to get there and pay for these overpriced pumpkins. Like, oh, I'm so pumped to go. But that's not the point, stupid. It's not about you. Before I became a dad, it was very hard for me to find joy in the little things. It always had to be something crazy to get my attention, like getting really drunk or going to the casino and feeling that adrenaline rush. It's always been hard for me to just go on a walk at the park or go on a hike and enjoy that time and just be alone with the thoughts in my head. But when I had a kid, everything completely changed. It didn't change in a way that now I go to the pumpkin patch and I just have the best time ever and I'm just looking at the pumpkins like, oh my God, look at all these pumpkins. I go to the pumpkin patch because I'm a dad and my kid wants to go, or because I'm a dad and my girl wants to take my kids there and create these bonds and create these memories that we're never going to get back. For one, just regarding the video, I hope that dude's kids wasn't in the car, because that's the most detrimental thing that you can do to a kid. Even if he was joking, even if he was just playing around and his kids may have even known that he was playing around, that will still sit with them in their minds that dad don't want to be here. Dad's just here because mom's making him be here. And you can tell by your actions and the way that you're acting that you don't want to be there. And that, in my opinion, is not being a good dad. You got to do better. So to summarize, like I said, yes, most dads aren't just thrilled and absolutely crazy about going to the pumpkin patch for their own personal reasons. When you look at your kid or look at your wife or look at your baby mama and they want to go, you as a dad, that's the things that you're supposed to do. Over time, after you do things like that a few times, you start to enjoy those things. It starts to become fun for you as well, but it'll never be fun for you if you're just like, no, I don't want to go. The pumpkins are overpriced. So if you're watching this and you're a dad and you agree with the pumpkin patch dad, you think it's just a waste of time and it's overpriced and it's dumb, think about the memories that your kid is creating or the memories that your partner is creating. Because chances are your partner probably does a million things for you, maybe even on a daily basis that she doesn't want to do, but she does with you because she knows that you want her to be there. And that's the whole point. They just want us there. They want us present. And after a while, it'll become fun for you. But yeah, that's my take on it. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments.
One of the disadvantage of having kids, having children for me, is that you have to put their interests first. You have to do things, even though you don't enjoy doing something, you do it for them, even though you hate it. So far, it makes your child happy, it makes your children happy. You think about how happy they're going to be when you give them a particular gift. You do it. If you're kind of person that don't like noise, all these kids with their toys that make so much noise, they enjoy it, they like it. So you're not going to think about yourself, you're just going to think about your child. And this is also an example of this pumpkin patch. You don't have to enjoy going for the pumpkin patch. It might not even make sense to you. Probably you didn't do it while you were young, but because your child enjoy it, it's a beautiful moment for them. And probably the mother of your child, your wife or your baby mama, enjoys taking your children there. I just feel like you going with them and try to just enjoy the moment with them is not because of you. We're not going to the pumpkin patch to make you happy. I feel like parents should just understand that you're doing that to make your child happy. So these fathers that just decide that, oh, what am I enjoying there? You're just forcing me. I'm just a driver taking you all there to enjoy yourself. It's a waste of money. Da 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 da. And the child was at the back seat listening, and he heard everything. So I feel like this kind of situation are things that he will never forget. It might not even make sense to him now. It might make sense to him 2, 3 years later. Probably they're doing the same routine and going for pumpkin patch, probably 2 years time. And he might just, talk and be like that. I know you're not happy going. You don't have to force yourself. Don't bother following us. Or it's something that is going to click in its head later on in the future and realize how much probably the father doesn't enjoy taking them out, or you know allowing them to have fun. I know that some mothers also do not enjoy going for pumpkin patch. It is not a crime for you not to enjoy doing all these things for your child. It's not a crime for you to love it, or it's not compulsory for you to like them. You're not doing it for yourself. You're not a child here. You're doing it for your child. You're doing it for your children. You're doing it for your kids, for them to be happy and have that memory like, oh, my family, we go somewhere, we go to this kind of place. every year to celebrate this, to celebrate that, is because of them. And these are the sacrifices. These are, for me, I call them disadvantages, because it's not something you enjoy doing, but you just have to do them to put a smile on your children's face. There's some things you cannot get. You don't like seeing them around. Just like toys can be all over the house, scattered everywhere. But your kids, they like it. They're gonna like it when you, even though they already have toys, they want more. They want noisy toys. They want the one that will shout, scream. They want the ones that will make so much noise, right? But these are the things that make your kids happy, and these are the sacrifices you make when you have children, or yeah, when you're with kids. I feel like the whole situation would have gone another route. In my own head, I am thinking if the wife would have asked, do you like, or how excited are you going for the pumpkin patch? Probably, they will have just discussed it by themselves, not where the child is, or you will have just say, oh, I'm excited. Then later on, they will tell each other, oh, do you know I don't enjoy it, we're just doing it for the child, and they will laugh it out. That is what it's supposed to look like. But you saying that and busting out in front of your child and also your wife doesn't make sense, in my own opinion. And to me, that is why I say that men do not really like kids. They're just doing it for aesthetic's sake. They're not really doing it because they really want to make those children happy. And that is why you see men stay back at work until their children are asleep before they come back home, because they don't want the noise. They don't just want the fact that children is at home making noise and scattering everywhere. They don't want to handle that part. So they stay back at work or stay back hanging out with their friends and try to come back when everybody is already asleep. Or you see them during the weekend, leaving the house to go and run errands that they're not supposed to run, just because they're trying to avoid chaos in the house when there are kids in the house. And these are people that will tell you, oh, I want you to have children. I want to have family of 6. I want to have family of 7. But they do not like children. They just like the aesthetics. They just want, like, oh, I am a father of so amount of children. I am a husband to so woman as my wife. They just like that fact. It makes them feel proud and makes them feel like they know what they are doing. It's not because that is what they actually want. Anyways, what is your take on this conversation? Let me know your thought down in the comment section respectfully. Are you a parent? Do you enjoy going for pumpkin patch? Share your thought down in the comment section respectfully. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out Marianne Davis, and I'll see you in my next video.